Hi, my name is Mia Krolchek, and this week's case is Jeffrey Dunn and Sesame Workshop bringing Big Bird back down. Week 5's focus was on disruptions and innovative thinking. As we've seen in the digital age, many established organizations have to pivot or adapt in order to survive, and Sesame Street Workshop is no exception. Through the presentation, I'll provide an overview to Sesame Street, identify the signs that Sesame Workshop was in a losing streak prior to Dunn's arrival as CEO, Dunn's first moves as CEO, identify the core values of Sesame Workshop's identity, and review his moves that altered the historical identity. In 1968, Joan Getz, Cooney, and Wade Morrissette founded the Children's Television Network, a nonprofit organization aimed to answer the question, could television be used to educate kids? The first episode of Sesame Street aired in November of 1969, aiming to teach children valuable lessons about empathy and kindness. The organization became Sesame Workshop in December of 2001, where they defined themselves as mission-driven and kid-focused. The company had a strong partnership with PBS, which allowed them to share their passion in learning and kindness with kids. Despite seeing early success, Sesame began to struggle. The rise of cable television was the first problem. Competition went from 4 to 5 channels to entire networks of children's television content. Additionally, the nature of the show transitioned from adults and puppets to more animated shows like Blue's Clues and Dora the Explorer. Technology also increased in the digital age. Households moved away from cable television and were interested in internet offerings and streamed content. Smartphones and tablets were offered as entertainment beyond television. PBS was struggling to keep up. Additionally, Cookie Monster was criticized with rising childhood obesity rates. Although they started as a successful YouTube page and ran in-house innovation lab, the company was falling behind. In terms of licensing and interactivity, licensing was bringing in about $30 million in 2016. However, Sesame lost over 70% of its DVD and 50% of its overall licensing revenues since 2006. Its intense competition was the result of shrinking audiences and fewer fans to sell merchandise to. The toy industry was also becoming more interactive, and people were expecting engagement from the toys. Internally, the company struggled. They were conflicted with where to turn the brand and faced with financial stressors. Production costs outpaced revenues. PBS covered less than 10% of Sesame's costs, and by 2013, the company had $15 to $18 billion in deficits from the show alone. The company also struggled with the hour-long format. Significant revenue declines began in 2012, and operating losses continued to grow. Employees were operating in their own silos, and sales were inefficient, and staff was stressed. People were worried about the company vision. They lacked the confidence that Sesame had the internal skills and vision to move the company forward. On September 29, 2014, Dunn became the CEO. 1 week prior to starting, he sent an email to 7 of the top executives asking about themselves, Sesame's major issues, and their hopes for the organization. In his first week, he gathered information from the top leaders and opened up communication with Sesame's staff during his first week in charge. Both efforts were successful in helping him adjust to the company and helped him evaluate the company's strengths and weaknesses and elevate morale. Dunn also brought in several new leaders from the for-profit world, which he knew and trusted, but also filled his team with people from Sesame internally, and it was referred to as the turnaround team. As the leadership team changed, some people were unsure about the direction of the company. A few people walked away from the organization, but as people grasped Dunn's larger plans, things started to fall into place. In April 2015, Dunn reorganized Sesame into two broad business units. His goal was to end the functional silos where the CEO was the only person who could make ultimate business decisions. This was successful because in 2013, only 67% of the employees felt informed, and in 2015, it was up to 90%. Dunn also took quick action in moving the business forward to address major challenges and struggles quickly after starting. Some of his major moves at Sesame include renegotiating broadcasting rights, cultural changes, digital changes, increased brand awareness, and philanthropy. All of these had varying interpretations. The broadcasting was seen as very successful. However, philanthropy had no major successful changes. Dunn's leadership may have saved the company, however, it altered Sesame's identity. One major visible change was the company's identity was bringing the mission statement to use the educational power of media to help all children reach their highest potential. Overall, his strategy was to broaden the vision of the company beyond just television and production. The company was originally founded as a nonprofit organization focused on educating young children. The company prioritized 60-minute educational shows through PBS. Although the company generated some revenue through licensing, it wasn't a priority. Media initiatives like YouTube and other teaching services were also not seen as a priority. The structure was a traditional business structure where the CEO was maintaining all of the top decisions and different parts of the company operated separately. The company didn't really extend much beyond their internal resources. Under Dunn, there were many changes to the identity, starting with the mission statement: to help kids grow smarter, stronger, and kinder. Overall, this was to broaden the vision of the company and inspire creativity beyond television production. Under the leadership, there were many actions related to changing their resources and funding beyond PBS's shows. It was successful because it allowed Sesame to expand their limited reach and positively influence more groups of people. Dunn stated in an interview with the Wall Street Journal that there are two things that make Sesame stand out. One, it's incredibly mission-oriented place. Everyone here believes we're trying to help kids grow smarter, stronger, and kinder. And the other is creativity. With the expansion of the mission, the company expanded beyond PBS through an agreement with HBO. Sesame Street cost over $18 million a year to produce, and the terms of the deal were expiring. PBS paid less than 10% of it annually, and after months of negotiations, PBS failed to come back with terms to satisfy Sesame financially. Although negotiations with PBS after the HBO deal were challenging, it was critical to Sesame's success since it was in such a poor financial state. Overall, broadcasting changes were successful because by the fall of 2016, the public's negative perception of the deal with HBO went from 48% to 30% through these efforts, and it allowed Sesame to keep working at their vision. Dunn also grew the company's mission and scope. He reached beyond their internal resources and created partnerships with other companies, which increased brand awareness. Some of the partnerships were with HBO, Apple, and others, and increased their show rankings. By 2016, they had moved from 6th and 8th place to 3rd place in rankings. From the start, Dunn wanted to change the culture of the company and ultimately altered its identity. He leveraged his experiences and connections from his time at the Harvard University Advanced Leadership to lead Sesame through tough times and changes. His leadership style was to unify the company under the new mission, and increased communication, collaboration, and creativity thrived throughout the organization. As of January 1st, 2021, Dunn transitioned to executive chairman of Sesame Workshop, and the board elected Steve Youngwood as the sixth CEO of Sesame Workshop. With ever-changing consumer demands, it's now up to Youngwood to maintain the organization's commitment to helping kids grow smarter, stronger, and kinder.